What up, Wizards? It's Dev. Got a chill one for you today because I was sitting on my couch just a couple days ago and I realized I don't know how much Foundations cards are worth. I want to buy a couple. What am I in for? And so maybe I realized, if I want that information, maybe you want that information too. So we're going to wrap it all up in a fun little package and discover what our Foundations cards are worth. Or, if you want to pick a few up like me, how much are you looking at spending? A lot in some cases, but not as much in others. So again, we're going to try to do some fun stuff for you today and talk about the most valuable cards in general, just period, point blank in this set, the fractured foils, plus the showcase cards, the borderless cards, the top 10 normal cards. And if you stick around for the end of the video, we'll talk about my sort of top 10 best buys in the set right now as of the very tail end of November 2024. So let's go ahead and jump in with the card on your screen right here, the single most expensive card in the entire set, and one of the more expensive cards in a standard release product in a good long while. It's Lawn War Elves, the fractured foil version. This is going for $500 at the very least right now. As a matter of fact, $500 is the listed price on TCG Player. It's a little bit less than that, the listed price on Scryfall, but the listed median on TCG Player, the median price the card's going for is $665. So if you come across one of these fractured foil Lawn War Elves, you are rich officially. So this is far and away the single most expensive card in the set that you can open up, and I think you can only open it in collector boosters. Apart from that, though, there are a couple of other fractured foils you're on the lookout for. It's doubling season. This going for about $375 right now. You get the fractured foil double season. It's got all the cute cats and this one dog or raccoon back here that I'm circling with the cursor. You see him just chilling, hiding back there. He doesn't quite belong, but we'll let him chill. But yeah, it's a very cute art, and it's also doubling season, so that explains the price to a degree. But I guess the last fractured foil to be on the lookout for is not a reprint at all, actually. It's Bloodthirsty Conqueror. This is a wild-looking fractured foil, and it currently goes for about $250 plus. I think the lowest one I could find was $256 on TCG Player. So you're expecting to spend a good amount of money on this, but if you crack it open in a collector's pack, then again, congrats, probably frame it or do something. It's a lot of money, but you can just go buy another collector booster box with the proceeds from this. But there's also some showcase cards in this set that are worth a good bit, but prices are going to nosedive from here. Don't expect too much because nothing's going to be worth as much as these fractured foils. But there's still some cards that are worth a good bit in the showcase bundle, like Think Twice over here. The anime art for Think Twice is going for about $18 right now. It says market price $20, but a lot of the prices are somewhere between $16.50 and $18. So you shouldn't have a hard time getting it for less than $20 right now. But even though that is the most expensive of these showcase cards, there's another reprint that I kind of like a lot, what they did with the showcase art here. It's Day of Judgment. I think this looks really, really cool. And right now it's about $17, so like a buck less than Think Twice. But this is a very, very cool version of Day of Judgment. I'm not sure it's worth $17, but it's a few weeks after the set has come out and prices have cooled off a good bit from pre-order. So I think we're settling into what prices will be for a second with this set. So again, I'm not sure that it's actually worth $17, but it may settle into being around 15 to 20 for for the foreseeable future at the very least. But still, cool looking card here. But it's again not the last showcase I want to talk about. Again, just like the fractured foils, the last showcase that's kind of bringing up the rear here in terms of prices in this category is a new card. It's Kaito, Cunning Infiltrator. This going for about $16 right now. So Think Twice 18, Day of Judgment 17, Kaito 16. He's looking good. He's got his little raccoon robot guy. His BattleBot raccoon dude. He's cool. But yeah, again, in terms of showcases, this is kind of the number 3 thing you're looking out for. So if you opened it and you're like, this isn't too special, it's worth a little bit. You'd be happy about it. But there's also some borderless cards I want to get through before we get to the top 10 normal cards, we'll call them, in the set. These, again, not worth quite as much as fractured foils, but still worth bringing up, like Niv Mizzet Visionary here. This currently going for $11. The normal version of the card going for like $7, I think it is around $6, $7 as well. So almost any version of Niv Mizzet that you open up is going to be worth at least a little bit of money. In this one, breaching the double digits. But so is Blasphemous Edict. The borderless version of this is about $10 right now. It's one of the hotter commander cards in the set at the moment. It's selling like hotcakes, man. Like, people are really into this card, which is sort of justifying its high price tag. And this also is a very cool art. Let's not deny that. It's pretty sweet, but $10. I just feel like Blasphemous Edict's going to go down in all of its forms, but what do I know? Lastly, though, in the borderless section, there's Liliana Dreadhorde General. This right now going for about $10. Getting out of, all the fancy stuff and the things you have to, like, open collector packs for. A few of these you do, like the fractured foils and all that. Let's get into just the normal Magic cards. Cards that look like Magic cards with no fancy frame treatments or lack of frame or whatever it is, right? These are the most expensive normal cards in the set. Starting with a couple of honorable mentions here. I wanted to bring up Bolt Wave first. This is an uncommon that's worth north of $3. It's $3.25 for a Bolt Wave right now. I really hope that calms down, but I wouldn't necessarily expect it to. Boros Charm, this is a reprint. Bolt Wave's brand new, but Boros Charm is about $3.15, right around $3 to buy right now. And in all of its other forms, it's like $4. So it's the cheapest way to get a Boros Charm. And it makes me think it's probably going to hold at between, $2.50 and $3.25. So I think it's safe to pick up a copy of Boros Charm, because if you get it any other way, it costs more than Foundations, which isn't always true of Foundations cards, weirdly enough, but Charm is one of those. It's just another one, too, that, when you're opening packs, keep an eye out for it, because it's one of the only uncommons in the set that's worth north of $3. But getting into the actual list here, there's a common in the set that's it's worth like $5. That's Heir Apparent. This really ought to cool off before too long, but right now Heir Apparents are going between $4.25 on the very low end and $5 for the median. It is one of the cooler, you can play any number of it cards they've done in a long time. But apart from that, the rest of the expensive cards in the set are all like rares. So with that in mind, there's also Banner of Kinship, which is going for about $6 right now. This is obviously a great commander card, and it hasn't really gone down much. I expected this card to be a chase rare at like $20 when the set came out, but it never really quite was that. This is not even pre-sale season. But as it stands now, it's fluctuating between like $5 and $6.50. And I think if you pick it up, you probably won't regret it. I'm not sure how much lower it's going to go at this point. And honestly, I think $6 is a pretty good price for a coat of arms variant. Apart from that, though, I guess number 8, if you want to call it that, is Dropkick Bomber. You can't get this, as far as I understand, out of normal packs. I believe it's in one of the beginner's products. I can't remember if it's the starter kit collection or the beginner's box, but I think don't quote me, I think it's in the beginner's box, but do your own research. This right now is $6.25. So that's too much. I fully expect this to go down, but there will be a scarcity thing here, because you can only open it in like one product and you only get one copy of it in that product. So I expect this is going to hold some price for a while, probably more than it should be for a while. But, I still really hope this ends up going down, because it's kind of an important piece for Commander Goblins decks, I think. Giganosaurus is next. This is full art, no text or whatever, textless. So it looks like it's a special version of a card. What's it doing in the top 10 normal cards? Well, this is the only way you can get a Giganosaurus in the set. There's no normal Giganosaurus. It's just this, but there's also no, like, to my knowledge, fractured foil or showcase or borderless or whatever Giganosaurus either. So this is like the one way you're getting a Giganosaurus. This is as normal and as fancy as it gets all at the same time. And it's about $6.60 right now to purchase. And that's kind of wild, but it is like the coolest looking Giganosaurus, so maybe that justifies the price. I was kind of surprised by this. I was looking at other Giganosauruses, and it really doesn't get any cheaper than this Giganosaurus, which is ridiculous. I really thought that would be like a 30-cent card, but no, people love it. Makes sense. If you wanted large green creatures, though, Quilled Great Worm is up next. This is number 6 on our list, I guess. This is about $7.25 to purchase a copy of this card. If you couldn't tell, Commander prices really drive a lot of these cards, man. And Great Worm is no different. This doesn't really see any play in Standard right now, but it's a strictly upgraded Colossal Dreadmont. Look at that. 6-mana, 7/7 trample with this righteous ability. Your creatures don't even have to deal damage to your opponent in combat. They just deal damage to anything in combat. They get counters. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. And it can come back too. Just pretty dope commander card just for big dumb green creature decks, and those go for a pretty penny. In this case, $7.25 worth of pennies, a lot of pennies. But let's move on to Blasphemous Edict, the normal version. This one is about $8.75 to buy right now. Which sounds like a lot, but we're about to take a large step up in price. Though, again, this is one of the more treasured commander cards in the set so far, one of the more sought-after commander cards in the set. I mean, it's getting a lot of traction over there right now, but you can obviously tell why, right? $8.75 seems like a bunch, but when we move to number 4, we get to look at Twin Flame Tyrant, which is now $19. We're verging on $20 for Twin Flame Tyrant, and this one honestly hasn't moved that much since previous season. There was a point where it was like $50 during when it first got previewed, but quickly moved into the $20 range, and then it's kind of stayed around there since after release. Again, very important commander card, I think, for a lot of people, whether you're Dragon's deck or just your big dumb red deck or just whatever. It's a very good effect to have on the table, and it's redundant with a lot of other effects that you want in your mono red decks. So good card here, and I guess that justifies the price. But again, taking a small step up in price. Let's get into the top 3 here with Doubling Season. Second time we're looking at a version of this card in this video. This one's about $25, and that is a steal. Let's be honest, for a Doubling Season. This card's usually $35, $40, even $50 for some versions of it and beyond, depending on what you're getting. So I think $25 is about as low as you can go for a Doubling Season at the moment. And again, I think that's probably worth it in most cases. So, go for it if you got the cash. Doubling Seasons, not only surprisingly affordable, and you should pick one up, but if you open a Doubling Season, you should also know that it's $25. You can let that go and, get some groceries or something. But number 2 is a weird one. I did not expect this, and I'm not sure that you did either. It's Sire of Seven Deaths. This card's currently going for $26 at the moment. I guess that it goes up under the Eldrazi land that just got printed in Modern Horizons 3. Can't remember the name of it right now, but it's important. Ugin's Labyrinth, is that it? I think I got it. Ugin's Labyrinth goes up under that to allow Labyrinth to create 2 mana really early in the game. So maybe that's driving a little bit, but I also think it's just because, big, cool Eldrazi, any deck can play it. It's got a bunch of abilities, and it's just awesome. And people love stuff like this. You'll note that, 3 or 4 even of the top 10 most expensive cards are just like huge guys. people really like those, and Sire of Seven Deaths is not only expensive here, but it's got a borderless mana foil edition that's incredibly expensive, like in the triple digits. So people are really digging this card. But the number 1 most expensive normal card in the set is another one we've already looked at in the fractured foil section too, and that's Bloodthirsty Conqueror. This is like $30 to get the normal version of, which is outrageous. It should not be that much. I was hoping that this card would be less than an Exquisite Blood, but it's not. It's like $10 more than an Exquisite Blood, and that is infuriating. It's really hoping, praying against the light that this card would be like $5. But no, it's actually gone up since pre-sale season, as people have realized that, I need this for my commander deck. But it's also being driven slightly by the prospect of infinite combos in Standard and Pioneer and stuff like that too. So a lot of people experimenting with Bloodthirsty Conqueror, driving up the price right now, but it's going to be a perennial commander all-star forever. So that will hold the price for a good long while, I think, too. But that is all of the most expensive normal cards. Let's take a little bit of extra time here before we get out of here and look at what I think are some of the best buys in this set at current prices. And let's look at 5 reprints and 5 new cards, starting with the reprints. Now, first, Runescarred Demon, which looks kind of weird, but, big flying dude in Commander that tutors a card. And tutoring a card is good. So that explains some of the reason why this card has held some price in its other editions up to now. The Foundations version of this card costs 40 cents to buy, whereas nearly every other version of the card costs $3 to buy. So the reason I think it's a good buy is twofold, and that it's going to be a theme here as we move through the reprints especially. This is a card that, again, is cheap to buy. And so if you do buy it, you're not going to feel burned on it. It's probably not going to go down or anything. And the second point, dovetailing from the first, is that it's very likely to go up because, again, all the other versions of it are like $3 right now. So it's not super likely this version holds at 40 cents, and it's even less likely that it goes down. So you're not going to take a bath if you buy a copy of it or anything. And I think it's much more likely to go up to like $2 or $2.50 as time goes on, because this card is very, it's not very sought after in Commander, but it's one that's held its price throughout its editions. It's been reprinted multiple times, and it's always around $3 to $3.50. So again, you'll see that theme hold as we move through the reprints here, like Painful Quandary. This is 40 cents to buy a copy of right now, 40, 45, and it is like $2.50 to $3 to buy a copy of every other edition that it's been printed in now, given it hasn't been printed too often before. But there's a few other versions of this card that you can buy, from the original set it was printed into, even a Commander product, I believe. And all of those editions cost, again, anywhere between $2.50 and $3 even. Apart from that, though, another black card, it's Exsanguinate, which follows the same trend. This is like 18 to 20 cents to buy right now, which is amazing because, again, it's $2.50 to $3 to buy any other version of Exsanguinate, and there's plenty of other versions of Exsanguinate. This card's been reprinted time and time and time again. And again, it always holds value and creeps back up to $3. And here we can get it for 20 cents, less than a tenth of what it would normally cost. I think it's a heck of a deal. You should pick it up. But there's there's non-black cards, I guess, on this list. There's also Impact Trimmers, which is currently 60 cents and normally costs like $2.50 to $3 to buy. So the spread between its price to buy in Foundations and its normal price is a little bit less than some of the cards we've already looked at, but that said, I think it's still a good deal, man. Like, it's less than $1 to get an Impact Trimmers, and most Impact Trimmers are not less than $2 at the very least. So, that's if you get a damaged copy or something. So, again, I'd pick this up. It's one of the most fun cards like ever printed. It's great for Commander, cheap to get out there and just start doing your shenanigans. So, good pickup. But I think the best reprint to pick up in the set, especially in terms of like price ratio, is Youthful Valkyrie. This is 25 cents to get a copy of, which is nuts because if you want the Kaldheim one, it's $4. Again, the spread there, 25 cents, and every other version is $4. This is, even if it doesn't go up, I still think it's very much worth buying because it's going to be the cheapest version of the card you can buy and play in Commander if that's what you want to do with it. There's also new stuff in this set, starting with Arabo the First Fang. This is kind of a tough call. I'm not sure this is the absolute best buy, but I really wanted a fifth new card to kind of match the number of reprints that I did. Arabo right now is about 65 to 70 cents, so less than $1. Well under $1 actually to get your hands on. And people love their cat decks, man. And when there's only one or two versions of a very unique cat effect that the deck needs, and is also an anthem. In this case, it's also an anthem too. That to me is bound to be, $2-3 in the future. How far in the future, I'm not sure, but it definitely strikes me as the kind of card that won't always be 70 cents. But, maybe 3 years goes by and you get the card for 20 cents. I don't know. But I just think it looks like a card that could go up over time, mostly because of Commander. Apart from that, Sear Slicer Goblin is 40 cents right now, 43, something like that, to get a copy of. And I think it's a great card for Goblin Commander decks, man. It's a little bit like, it's reminiscent of like a Rabble Master or some other kind of effect like that. They printed a few different reminiscent of Rabble Master effects that put like a Goblin on the table every turn for you. And you're going to want to get aggressive in Goblins, so it's not hard to get an extra Goblin every turn because you have one of these. And I just think it's a pretty good effect. 40 cents is probably about the right price for it, but it's one of those cards that you look at it, the more you think about it, the more you think, well, you're going to be $1.50 like 3 years from now or 6 years from now or whenever Foundations goes out of print, right? So I'd keep my eye on it. Maybe not buy it right now, but I'd keep my eye on it. Apart from that, I really like Kaikar Zephyr Awakener. This is another one I'm not sure will go up necessarily, but it's only like 15 cents to cop this card right now. And I actually think it's a great deal just because you want to like play with it and build around it. This looks like a really fun Azorius commander that isn't like other Azorius commanders, right? Like detention, punish, control, all those words don't really apply to this. You're slinging spells and having fun. And I kind of like some of the implications of a card like this in Commander. Again, fun Commander build-arounds often command more than a 15 cents price tag, so I'm not sure how long Kiker's going to be, cheap like this. But again, it's one that I'm not necessarily speculating on. I wouldn't go and pick it up and expect it to jump, 300% tomorrow or anything. But it is a cool commander, and I think 15 cents is at least, worth investing in to play with the card, if nothing else. Apart from that, Mischievous Mystic is currently 10 cents for this little uncommon right here. And this one seems like it's probably going to take a while to increase in price, I'm pretty sure. But it seems like one that, again, 6, 7, 8, 10 even years from now, if it's not reprinted, and it very likely will be, but if it's not reprinted, it seems like the kind of card that will be sought after because it's a unique effect. There's not a whole lot of stuff like this in blue. Drawing extra cards is something you always want to do. In Commander, you can get like 4 fairies per turn cycle. That seems really good too. So this just seems like the kind of thing that Commander players will like, and even like Cube players and people that just like simplified kitchen table Magic are really into stuff like this. So this is another one that, like, once the scarcity starts to hit, if it's not reprinted, then like I think it could be worth more than 10 freaking cents. But the last card I want to look at today, maybe not the absolute best buy of the video, but one that I like is Anthem of Champions. This one too is like 15 cents to buy this rare Magic card right now from the brand new set, which is wild to me because it's a 2-mana Anthem effect for every single dude you control in a color combination that, is great with tokens and stuff like that. We love to go wide in Selesnya, So the fact this is 15 cents kind of baffles me a little bit. We may have gone beyond vanilla Anthem effects even at 2 mana in Magic at large, Commander included, but I just like to think that there's some sort of Selesnya tokens deck and even other decks in Commander that might like really dig the idea of just like, 2 mana simple Anthem. Again, it's buck wild to me that this is so cheap right now, and I'd pick it up again if nothing else but to play with it, right? But that is all I've got to point out for today. I think we've gone long enough. And do all the YouTube stuff on your way out. Like, share, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Check out the Patreon, yada, yada. I'll leave links in the description to important things. And that's about it. That's Allski Kowalski. I'll catch you cats later. I'm Deb from The Place. Thanks for watching, Wizards. Spread love and be kind.